Hello and welcome to our practical guide to strategic legal spend management initiatives. Today we'll talk about best practices in law firm selection and management. My name is Sylvia Hodges-Silverstein and I'm talking with Edward Wilson. Edward, thank you for taking the time to talk about law firm selection and management with me. Can you explain what best practice law firm selection and management looks like?
Certainly, Sylvia, and thanks for having me. So selection and management processes should always be tailored according to the objectives and shape of the legal department concerned, but we do see some consistent themes. So these can be represented by the framework shown here. Firstly, you'll need a well-defined set of criteria for who you buy from. So most go with some form of panel structure. The important goal here is, do your lawyers have access to an appropriate go-to firm or provider for the piece of work they need support on? Then you need a well-understood, consistent framework for the way you buy and how matters are managed in life. So, for example, think about these steps through the life cycle. Firstly, ensuring that all matters have some form of written up scope. Then ensure that there's an established selection process for how you select a firm. Make clear any support that might be available during selection. Then what are the expectations for in-life matter management, both in-house and of external counsel? So this should cover basic elements of project management and reporting. Then finally, you have the invoice review and guideline compliance. So that's the final piece of the puzzle. Line item level narrative should be reviewed. You should ensure that you're being billed for the work that you've agreed upon. Lastly, you have the supporting pieces shown here. So write all this down in supporting governance documentation. Ensure that there's a common understanding as to what the requirements are at each stage. Central operation support for selection and management is recommended for large legal departments to take the admin burden off the lawyers and support with any data requests. And finally, you have the technology. There are applications for technology throughout, from workflow tools for lawyers to raise new matters, to technology which manages RFP processes and legal project management tools, to supporting benchmarking and analytics capabilities. All these supporting pieces can help ensure a tight, well-managed selection and management framework, which shouldn't burden your lawyers with too much process.
Thank you, Edward. So this sounds like there is a lot to think about. How do you go about implementing all of this?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, we recommend starting small, focusing on the areas of maximum impact and showcasing early successes. So like any process or framework, it requires the people on the shop floor to buy into what you're trying to achieve. Ask your lawyers to input as you're designing your selection and management processes. Seek volunteers for implementation in their areas and continue to report back on successes and failures until you have a functioning, useful process the lawyers will buy into.
Thank you for listening. And to learn more about legal spend management, please download the primer at buyinglegal.com/LSM. Thank you very much.